This is KMTV, and we are broadcasting to you from Minnesota, the United States of America. My name is Nathan Charles, sitting in the presenter seat on this beautiful day of December the 8th, few days for Christmas, and we're hitting the next year. We're looking at issues in Liberia. As you know, is something big in Liberia. All of the big situations happening in Liberia in terms of news, information, entertainment, and we will be joined by our panelists Jackson George, Makodi Cyrus Magi will be joining us hopefully, and Joanne Proud C will also be joining this live broadcast hopefully from wherever they are. But big thing we're looking at today, the National Elections Commission certificates people who won the just ended October 10 election, and indeed, it is a big day celebration for those contesting who were officially certificated by the National Elections Commission today. As you see, our text rolling on the Diaspora Talk, we will be looking at this topic and some of those who have been certificated by the National Elections Commission. But interestingly, the big person who won the presidential race could not be certificated. Just why we will be explaining why Ambassador Joseph Human Boykai could not be part of today's ceremony. There are a whole lot of controversy surrounding why he is not he was not part of the ceremony. We're hearing from the Unity Party. They've been providing reasons why. We'll be also reading from different comments, social media, and political pundits about why Ambassador Borka did not attend today's ceremony. And don't forget, this big story is all trending on social media. Jefferson Tamakochi has been punched by the U.S. government. They have censured him uh, sanction him with the U.S. sanction. And I see my colleague Cyrus Magui is in the backstage, and let me try to bring him up and see he's sitting on top of Monrovia. You have taken over the city of Monrovia now since the release of the U.S. sanction.
Well, it's not so much of taking over the city of Monrovia, but it's going to be joining you from, uh, joining you remotely from somewhere around Minneapolis here in Minnesota. It's a wonderful Friday. I missed the show, man, but thanks for holding it down. Where is your co-host, Jackson George?
My panelist is coming up. I'm sure he will be joining very soon. And this big news. First of all, let's start with the certification of officials elect. You see, they are at Samuel at the Eddie Johnson Sharif Ministerial Complex there in Monrovia. That is to be certificated by the National Elections Commission after they were elected. And you see the likes of Prince Johnson, Milton, Western guy family, right? But his name is
Yeah,
Milton
Milton,
too.
Milton Weston got Finley.
Okay, yeah. And Momo Saros and some of the senators they're seated. Likewise, you see representatives there from the CDC angle. You see Thomas Fala and Sir Joseph of Mosserado County, but Thomas Fala is now in Lofa County. Also, Funati Kofa, the man who is in the news for the big race in
Yes, the man that is making out of the news as it relates to who whether he becomes the third most powerful man in our country, the Speaker of the 55th Legislature, Funati Kofa there. And and I see the two sanctioned officials, former officials of the WIA administration, that's former officials of the executive, Nathaniel Fallo McGill of Maigiri County. He's there flanked by his co-sanctionee. You know, the both of them were
what kind of
knocked
name is
together
that?
by the the U.S. government, in person of Bill Twawe, who's representing Riverside County in the new Senate. So that's a whole beautiful front row right there of our leaders gather at the EJS, that's the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf ministerial complex there in Congo Town, just outside of Monrovia. Yes, more pictures. I see you flipping more pictures. I see
Americani.
Wapuru County, Amara Kone, former finance minister, former minister of planning of for economic affairs, the man who was in the war room of the Unity Party, making sure the numbers were pulled together for the Joseph Walker campaign. Senator Prince Yomin Johnson, the man that is poised to becoming a senator for 27 years if he
How many
completes his
years?
term. 27. So he will be equating the
Jesus
record of
Christ.
the late President William Vacan Rashad Totman, 27 years of presidency. Now, Senator Johnson is going to be taking 27 years of leadership in the Liberian Senate from the people of Nema County. So he's there.
Wow.
Yep,
Just
that's a great
wow.
one indeed. I don't know who's in that blue suit. Is it Musa Hassan Belati? And
Musa,
is that
he's
too
close
clear?
around the senator. You know the man
Yeah,
wants to big up
those are
people.
Nimba guys now. So Musa is from Nimba County, I believe, district number two. Yeah, he's
Seven.
seven or two, one of them. I'm not too clear or sure about that. But he's from Nimba. He fought a very strong fight. There he was on the ticket of the collaborating political party, the CPP. He's the chairman of the CPP. He's one of those also in the news, contending the speakership of the 55th legislature. So as it stands, it is now Musa Hassan Belati, Fonati Kofa, and Representative Richie Kuhn of Maserati County as well. Yeah, Richie Kuhn of Maserati County. That's one of the phase. Musa Hassan Belati of Nimba, and also Fonati Kofa of Grand Crew County, and they were all certificated today. It was a big show of the town, Nathan.
Yes, Cyrus. This signifies that indeed you are legally, authorized to represent your people because after election, people can file complaint to the National Elections Commission. They can go to court, and that can rip you off your position. We saw what happened to Brani Samuka, right? And other people. Now people were contemplating on what was going to happen to Nathaniel Bill Twawe because they were
But I don't
sanctioned by the.
in that line. I don't know why people only talk about Nathaniel McGill and Bill Twawe and leaving the name Prince Johnson out. Prince Johnson was hit by this tension. He remains on. Yes, he remains on this. It was Prince Johnson, former Senator Vani Sherman. They were all hit by this Magnitsky sanction by the U.S. government. As a result of that, I know there was a pressure on the Liberian Senate when Senator Johnson was again elected as head of the Senate Committee on Defense and Intelligence. You saw the huge pressure coming from the U.S. government, indirectly vying not to work with the Senate as it relates to the leadership of Prince Johnson as chair on defense and intelligence. That led the Senate into forcing him to resign, and then Senator of Lofa County, Stephen Amadou Jokbo, was elected to chair that committee. So right now there are three members of the Senate that are on the U.S. sanction: Senator Prince Johnson, Senator Nathaniel Fallow McGill, this is McGee, Nathaniel Fallow McGill of Magidi, and flanked by his co-sanctionee. He let us say that's a new war, Bill Twawe of Riverside County. So these are three members of the upper house that are being slapped by the UN. I mean the US. They are on the US Magnitsky sanction for different reasons, but mostly McGill and Twawe in relations with some financial issues as officials of the executive of the WIA administration. McGill, as you know, was Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, the Chief of Staff of the President, and Bill Twawe was then the port manager of the National Port Authority. So they were there, according to the U.S. government, involved into deals, getting kickbacks. So as a result of that, they were placed under that sanction. So Nathan, when I see people talk about just McGill and Twawe, the question remains: what's about Senator Prince Johnson?
Yes, and Prince Johnson, apart from just having sanctioned by the U.S. government, it is clarified that his involvement in the war in Liberia. You saw all on social media, and he slain the former president Doe and
On
stuff like
camera.
that. So he has been in, but in Liberia we reward people who committed heinous crimes, and once you are on that side, the other people, based on where you sit, other people don't see the others from the other side. So that's why
The
we
lenses
say,
become blurred based on, I mean, what you see, what you want to see based on the part of the eye you find yourself.
yeah, let's invite our panelist is trying to adjust himself. Mr. Jackson George. Mr. George, welcome to the Diaspora Talk.
and
So Cyrus finally made it today, huh?
I'm here in Monrovia, Jackson. Good to be joining from Monrovia.
You in Monrovia? Yeah, right.
It's good to have you. Let me also welcome the only female face that made it to the Diaspora Talk this year in person of Joanne Prowse here. Joanne, welcome.
Thank you, Cyrus. It's been a minute.
Yeah, and we all acting like it's COVID, during the period of COVID, right? and 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 for people who don't know, this show was birthed during the period of COVID. So like Nathan, I was looking at, 2 3 years back when we held it down, educating people on the effect of coronavirus. The what are the mentors we should use. When people refuse to take the vaccine, we were here providing education on why the vaccines were necessary. As a matter of fact, I'll even play my video here taking the vaccine. So that's where this diaspora talk comes from, and seeing the setup today just reminds me of 3 years back when we were all locked up and we could only bring Jackson George from his home. Jackson, I'm coming to visit. My man, don't come to my office. Oh. Don't come to my office.
Yeah,
Jackson, I'm coming to do my passport.
you
My man,
wanted
don't
a
come here without
game.
open today. But it's good to have all of you guys on a Friday like this, and you guys just join us when we're on the certification of 72 members of the lower house and 15 members of the upper house. As you know, one of the lawmakers who was recently elected from Grand Jita, may his soul rest in peace, died just last week, just before this actual certification. So there are 72 members that are starting up in. Yep. He fell prey to the hands of death. I believe was it in India, Nathan?
Yes, in India, Mensa from Grand Jita County, District number one.
Yeah, Joshua number one Grand Jita. So I understand there will be a by-election coming up in Grand Jita County to replace the foreign lawmaker. But guys, you have it. What's your take on today's certification? Was very colorful indeed, including the three U.S. sanctioned senators: Senator Prince Johnson, Senator Nathaniel Fallow McGill, Senator Bill Twawe. They were all certificated today. Your take, guys. Let's get you going, Jackson.
Ladies before gentlemen, or gentlemen
Well,
before
I
ladies?
think. Thank you, Cyrus. I think we have a political process, and I'm sure that this certification, the NEC did its work. NEC is not involved into deciding who can be certificated or who's not certificated. They just did the election. So I think they did the certification. They've done their part. I think those who are sanctioned, I think there is a process for prosecution. If government follow the process, those people will be sanctioned. Those sanctioned people will have to face the law. They're sanctioned, so they have to face the law and then exonerate themselves from the charges that were put forth on them.
Joanne.
Yeah, in as much as we are all excited about the whole certification process and the new change in leadership and everything, I know we still cannot, overlook our own democracy with them being sanctioned. I know I was seeing like a post on social media where somebody was saying because they were sanctioned, they shouldn't have been certificated. And so I think that should not even be like a discussion because those people were voted for, and so until the US government that has sanctioned them can actually call them and go through with their investigation, that's like a whole separate matter from what is happening with Liberia in the elections. Also, those people were sanctioned way before even our elections took place, and Liberians still went ahead and voted those people in office. So if you knew this person was not trustworthy, you shouldn't have voted them in the first place. And you voted this person and you give this person authority as your representative or senator. And now that it's time for their certification, that's like the least time that you should even be talking about or frowning on them being certificated. However, I am just like excited for the new change and everybody that was voted in and certificated today. I think like Liberia is off to a new start and Liberians are about to experience something different. Um I know people were concerned about the president elect not being present for the certification, and people were, it was just concerned. And, I know, like, and there were a whole lot of things that was being said about him not being well, and him not being, him being kept up, not being capable to step in because he's not participating, or he was not present at the certification, which I know the certificate could have been handed to anybody, and it was not mandatory that you be present. But that being said, I'm just excited about this whole process. I think Liberians made a change that they wanted, and although there are people whom that they might not be satisfied with, especially with those who were sanctioned being certificated, but they themselves still voted for those people. So
Charles.
Indeed, it's a new day for Liberia, and like I said, once they certificate you, indeed you now about to start your official work, and the people of Liberia elected you to work. So the National Elections Commission, they part, they are the referee. The game was played. They gave the trophy to the winner. So now it is upon those elected officials, certificated officials, to start the ball rolling, to unite the people, provide basic social services. That's just one ceremony. But indeed, it was colorful because we saw people performing there. I listened to our drum and all the stuff like that. It brought a lot of excitement. You see, people are happy. The mood was joyous. And indeed, some of the lawmakers interacting with each other for the very first time. And, that uh, indeed is very important for our democracy.
Yeah, and that's a huge one indeed. And Joanne was just touching on the argument and counter argument from people whether those sanctions should be certificated by the National Elections Commission. And what people did not understand is the fact that NEC don't have the authority to
to
stop a
actually hold
certification
somebody's
process.
certification, yeah.
Yes, once they are elected. I know people want to draw the story of former Defense Minister Brian Samokar. Our laws clearly states that an indicted, convicted
Convicted.
person. So at the
Felony.
time of Samuka's election, he was going through the court process. But just before he could get inducted, the court had already ruled in his case, convicting him and authorizing the NEC NATO certificate. So that's a huge one indeed. Those that are placed under the U.S. sanction, it's like the U.S. is telling Liberia, this is what we think. If these people feel, they can go to court to clear their names, it's up to them. The U.S. cannot tell you, do not, have them take their seats. The Liberian people saw them. They voted for them. Prince Johnson now is getting 27 years as senator. His third term, 29 years times, 9 years times three. If he ends that, he's going to be 27 years, equaling the record of President Thothman the late. So, Jackson, what's your take as
Cyrus,
it relates to what people are arguing?
my question is, you just talk about Bernie Samakar's situation. How is it different from Maggie and Bill Twari? If the government had, they could have done the same thing to prevent them. Now we're saying the Liberian people voted for them. The people did not have enough information to make informed decision. Yes, allegations were made, but there was nothing substantial. I'm not defending them, but what I'm saying is that the government, as they did to Bernie Samakai, did not do so. We cherry picking, in terms of upholding the law. If they had
So,
prevented the two, they would not have ran.
So I think the prevention, what the argument here is that Browning was actually convicted at the time before he became before his certification was up, and the
Okay,
court had order that according to our law, a convicted person cannot serve in that seat. So he was
okay,
convicted, and these people have been accused. It's left with our government, like you put it, government who are going ahead and put Bill Prince Johnson and Nathaniel McGill up for trial or ask them to exonerate themselves before these elections. But in the middle of it, the elections were held. NEC don't have any power to
correct.
kind of stop their certification. It is left with the courts. The court is the one that ordered the National Elections Commission not to certificate Samuka because at the time he was a convicted a criminal under our laws. So I think that's just the argument I was just trying to balance what the arguments people have out there,
Yeah,
what the common common people understand and all of that. So now it's like it's going to be the same scenario with Prince Johnson and Barney Sherman. They were both accused. They were sitting senators. They were now removed from their seats. The only thing that we saw happen was when Prince Johnson was elected as chairman of the Senate Committee on Defense and Intelligence, when the backlashes started to come from the U.S. government, threat not to work with the Senate as Defense Committee and all of that. They moved to have him recuse himself from the position, and then Steve Zago was elected to that position. But other than that, Senator Johnson served his term. He got reelected. They are back in there, and they are going to be sitting. So I don't know what will be the next course of action, except for the punishment of the U.S. government. I don't know what's next.
Well, I think from the Senate side, there should be an ethics committee. Many of the time we think it just has to be the executive doing all of the work. Why can't the ethics committee say, look, you've been sanctioned, come in front of us and clarify some of these things so that we can move forward? So I think the Senate has its own work to do with the three individuals, and I think the executive branch of government has its own work to do too. So and the judiciary branch. So those three branches will have to work to be able to bring clarity to this. Just because they are sanctioned, they have to clear that they have to exonerate themselves. So those are charges, and they can come in and clarify. I think this thing hanging over their heads, they really need to make it work. I would say they need to make it work. They need to clarify and exonerate themselves, or else it would just be hanging over them. They will be afraid to travel. You never know where Interpol will intervene and arrest anybody who's traveling outside of Liberia. So they're just going to be stuck in there and can't do much in the outside world.
So another strong thing. I mean, you probably drawing the feet of the Senate to the fire as it relates to their colleagues. But we've seen over the game when members of the legislature in past, were caught into wrongdoings. There was nothing done by their colleagues. The issue of the war crimes code is a clear indication. There were members of the legislature who were, directly involved into the war. We saw what came of the TRC. Nobody could raise any alarm. I mean, even raise their voice to say, where can we start this entire issue of the war crimes code? The president wrote the legislature. President Weir, advised me on where do we go with the war crimes code. I think up to now, we have not seen a reply to that letter to the 54th. So do you think the Senate will have the balls, or the legislature will have the balls now to say, let's have our colleagues, face this head on to exonerate themselves? Do you think so?
I don't think so. I don't think. I think the Senate is getting better uh, every year. I think we're going to have some serious people in there to be able to make some noise, but I don't think they are enough to be able to put forth that kind of a thing yet. Every time we have an election, we say, okay, let peace prevail. Let's be quiet for now and see how we can develop our country, because there are more pressing issues than that. So I don't think they have the gravitas. I don't think they have what it takes right now to put pressure on the three to get them out and so that they can face the weight of the law. So we just see this dragging again. It will be pushed on the executive branch of government to act. The executive will have to be politically savvy to be able to push some of this forward. But I don't think the Senate, even though I'm putting forth that it's part of their responsibility, I don't see the Senate doing that at this point.
Yes, sir.
Uh, this has been an old age thing. We've been talking. It's time to take practical steps. People who committed heinous crimes, even in Liberia, the international community, the U.S. government have to see it in our country before we even know. People will be talking within a cycle in Liberia, but once the U.S. say it, before we believe it, there are more government officials from the Eden Administrative time, from the transitional time up to current, who have been corrupting our country, who have been abusing our country, who have been engaged into human rights violation. But we gave these people a silver platter. We lift them up high in our community, in our society. The issue of character assassination, the issue of character, we don't take it seriously in our country. So we continue to experience it. Now we need to focus more on revamping our justice system. And how can we institute a reform to make sure that those who come to lead our country come with clean hands and are people of character. Apart from that, we will keep having.
Nathan, we have a very complex, intricate system uh, that we are operating through. Once one man, a freedom fighter, is another man.
Breadwinner.
Yeah,
Hero.
like I always say, until you sit in that seat, you have no idea what it is. We have a very complicated, close niche family system that is affecting our democracy. You
So
fire a
you
mi-
then you sign
yeah, I coming, I coming.
you sounding like President Weah when he
No, no,
said that
you
the
fire a
fight against
minister, you fire a minister for embezzlement. That minister, in the night, they get these chiefs and everybody come. They go to the president in the night. They got the bees, the all kind of stuff they're playing, and they say, we say we'll fire them. Yeah, but our son, you know, the press is not seeing that. The Liberian people are not seeing that. The judiciary system is convoluted with a whole lot of things. So we have to sit down as a nation, and I'm hoping that this government will bring in serious people to sit down as a nation and say, look, let's separate our personal from governance. If this nation must move forward, let's separate our personal from governance so that if Jackson George embezzles something, let Jackson George fit the full weight of the law. We should not cherry pick who will go to jail. I mean, the common man go to jail faster than people. When people in government steal, they say they embezzle. When people steal, they are rogues. So my thing is because of the long-term traditional and complicated compound complex situation that we have used our personal over governance, and I think it's about time for us to start looking at governance over our personal lifestyle.
Yeah, so then Jackson, you bring me into this thinking when President Weah said that the fight against corruption is difficult because we are interrelated. So I mean, when people are doing things, it's like you put it, maybe somebody's been caught for something or being held for something. At night, everybody's coming to weigh in and put forth their interest. At the end of the day, it becomes something, and we are back to the same point.
I don't think it's difficult if you want to make a change. If you want to, if you want to make a difference, it's difficult because you have to make a hard decision. Leaders make decisions, and so if your brother was corrupt, you still want to go through the process. You still have the right at the end of the day as president to partner people, but let them go through the process so others can see that I prosecuted my brother. He was in prison, and then I free him. I mean, that's the liberty of the president to do every year if he wants to. So I'm not going to stand in a way of the justice system working because it's my family member or close friend. I'll let the system work, and then I use the Constitution to do what I have to do, so that others can see and know that the process can work. But in our system, it's hard. You fire somebody from the job. The court system is a totally different thing. They embezzle $1 million and pay the entire judicial system get off, and nothing happens. So how many people are you going to fire that will do the same thing? So people just keep them, recycle them, and so this system has to change. I think that's why we are fighting for, all of us as Liberians that want to see a better Liberia. We just got to separate governance from our personal lives and all of these traditions that we bring together, bring to bear on our leadership.
Nathan.
Yes, we keep going back with the same thing. Like Jackson said, we need a more robust system. And for me, I find it very difficult. Like he said, this government will be more serious because, hey, this is the same government, members of the same old government that ruled for 12 years. They are coming back. Trust me, I still want to see the difference this will make because just from even the transitional team, right? The members of the transitional team, they are, I think, 50 or 40% are from the old regime on alien. These are the people who helped rule our country. Ready, I can name them on and on. For two foreign ministers, even the transitional team, the inauguration plan team, the subcommittee, these are all the same old people coming back. So we wait to see, but from the names and the people who close to Joseph Boga here, I know it will be very difficult. I can say that for sure.
Neta, it shouldn't be difficult. I think
It
people
will.
learn. I think people learn, and if they have not learned, then they have
12
serious problem.
years.
I think people learn. I think the 6 years of CDC governance have shown us a lot. I think the Liberian people too. Forget about let's put aside a little the people who are coming in government. I think the Liberian people too need to change. We need to change our mindset and hold these people accountable. I think we've been too laissez-faire as a nation. We've allowed a few to manage the governance of our country with all of us participating. I think we've only participated during the elections. I think Liberians now, if you look at how many talk shows there are many talk shows now. People are being vocal. So I think we hold elected officials and government officials accountable. I don't think they will have the freedom that they had to do things like they do now. We have sanctions. People putting sanctions on people for the actions that they've taken
But
while in
even
government.
before, when that euro was sanctioned, so
Yeah, but I think
it's not new.
it will be elevated to something else. If we just found out that people are being sanctioned and nothing's happening, there will be another elevation of that process. So uh, it's a process, and people should not just see the sanction as it's not doing anything. Most of these people who are sanctioned cannot even move around. Some of the money were frozen in foreign accounts. Just because people are not seeing these things it doesn't mean that actions are not being taken. The assets will be frozen in foreign countries if they have asset in foreign countries. Bank accounts have been frozen. So it's not just easy. They're not talking about it, but behind the scenes, some things are happening. But if you're saying that the Unity Party is bringing in old wine in new bottles, I think people can change. I think people. It depends on the leadership. I think the president elect uh, been in government. He's seen all of these things, and I think if leadership change and leadership want to make it work, if the president of Liberia wants this country to function, this country will function.
And on the back of all of this, we got this big news again today. One of the most vocal person in the we as CDC, the apartheid chair, Jefferson Tamakoji, mayor of Monrovia, has been slapped with a U.S. sanction as well. Jackson, I know before coming on, you followed this. This is the breaking news. The U.S. Treasury Department for Human Rights Abuse and Corruption sanctioned Major Jefferson Tamakoji. And first of all, what is this? What signal is this sending to maybe people in the WIA government that are going out? And we saw of a late Koji, Representative Akaras Gray, and other members of the CDC, especially the youth wing, have been vocal as it relates to what happened. I mean, the spillover from the elections going into the inauguration period that is coming. This is this something intended to keep them quiet while the transition process sailed through?
I think it would have come even if CDC had won. Um, I don't think it's just to keep them quiet. I think the sanction was something that was being worked on a long time ago. If you were in, they know and understand how it works. The Treasury Department, you understand that most sanctions will be put on government officials moving forward. Had CDC won, maybe it would have been better for Mayor Koji. He would have had 6 more years to be there. But now that the CDC is no longer in power, it's just he has to recalibrate and figure out how he can exonerate himself from all of these charges that was put forth. And it's just not him; it comes with his family as well. So if he has a wife and children, those children will be affected as well. So when people think these things are not biting, it is biting. And you may think that the person is walking free, but they're not totally free. Interpol can intercept these people anytime, anywhere. So it is scary. Uh, you would think that they can travel freely. I know he can come to the United States. I understand that it's United States, Canada, and Britain that collaborated to put on these sanctions. So it's just not the United States. So it is hard. I'm hoping that most of these people will generate themselves so that they can be free. If you didn't do anything of this nature, just clear yourself up. It is hard for something to be hanging on you, and you living, and especially for a young man like Mayor Koji.
Nathan, I know you have that document, the official statement. I know you want to go
Yeah,
through that
so yeah,
quickly.
exactly. So basically, I would just like to inform our audience why is the U.S. government sanctioning Jefferson Kochi. Few lines in the says Kochi is accused of stalking violence and controlling paramilitary style organizations associated with the CDC. These groups, according to OFAC, allegedly compromise uh, composed of former combatants and recently released prisoners are
Hmm.
believed to have violently disrupted government critics, demonstrations, and opposition activities. Another sentence says Kochi is also implicated in various instances of violence, including an opposition rally in July 2022 and a memorial service for former President Amos Sawyer in March 2022, an anti-rape protest in August 2020, a student graduation ceremony in December 2019, and an opposition rally in November 2018. Kochi is also accused of engaging in corrupt acts, including bribery and misappropriation of state assets for private political movement. So these are some of the catalog that was mentioned against Jefferson Tamakochi by the United States government. So they highlighted that,
So
and
so
there are a
so
lot of other things involved,
so Nathan,
including
let
also
me
rape
ask a
and other
question.
stuff.
Let me ask a question, right? You have cabinet meetings all the time. You got men and women who sit in cabinet meetings. You're telling me that all of these things that are happening, the United States government never for one say, look, these things are happening. And even if we sit in cabinet meetings, can we see some of these things? If men and women sitting in cabinet meeting who really want to move this country forward, these things will not be happening. We have to get to the point where we bring in real people who can look at the president and tell the president these things are happening. And if not, people should be able to resign and jail. Everybody sat there, saw these things happening, and did nothing. I mean, my thing is, it doesn't take one man to lead our country. We all must be fighting for the same thing. I think we must reach to the point where we start fighting for the same thing. But if everybody's so afraid, like everybody for the last 6 years, nobody could say anything. Few people stood their ground and fought hard. But I think beginning January 22nd, the Unity Party government will understand that Liberians are getting to the point where they will be vocal, and especially with the sanction now where the United States government and other government can just put sanction on government officials. I think it's helpful for Liberia, and it's scary for people in government to think that they can perpetrate harm and danger on the masses with impunity.
I mean, we're not sure because with what's going on, like he's still definite January 22nd. We're not still definite with the status of our president elect because as you saw today, he was not in the country to receive a certification. We're hearing that he's ill, and the release came up that he came to the U.S. So we're not still definite as to whether by January 22nd, all of the hopes and
The
aspirations will be
election,
realistic.
people were elected. We got vice president. So if the president doesn't elect the vice president,
Inauguration of the
No, no,
president.
no. We not going to that point. Our president will be,
but the
he-
president will be there.
but to that
It's just
point,
well
there
propaganda.
was a statement from
The
the Unity
president
Party.
went through all of the president elect went through all of the campaigns. I mean,
Yeah, and
he's
so there was a statement from the Unity Party yesterday requesting that the National Elections Commission, put off the certification process of President-elect Barker and his Vice President-elect until he returned to the country. I don't know whether the NEC have officially responded to that particular communication, but I think for now, that's why we know that Unity Party is. I mean, they did ask NEC, that when he returns to the country, he can get
yeah,
certificated
all of
and,
these things
and
should have
all of
been
that.
coordinated. Maybe the president elect had his own travel itinerary already that could not be canceled, and so they should have coordinated all of these things to make it work. But again, we don't know what's happening behind the scene. But I think the president elect would be in Liberia to collect his certificate. I think it just is a ceremonial process. So that will
All
happen.
right. So let's take a quick break. Let's pay respect to our sponsor, Park Liquor Outlet. And then when we come back, Miata Famule has been selected or appointed as chairperson of the inaugural committee. And then Miata will sing again at that place.
Bugao, this is
This
your
is our
time.
time. Let your celebration begin with Park Liquor Outlet, your first Liberian-owned liquor store in the city of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We have everything that you need to set that special occasion or bride. For your next party or great get-together with friends, visit Park Liquor Outlet. We have great selection of beer, wine, gin, and many more at affordable prices. Our customer service will make you always want to come back. We are open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Park Liquor Outlet, your one-stop celebration store. We are located at 6315 Zine Avenue North, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. Visit us today and feel the difference.
Hi, my name is Dr. Kent. Welcome to Brooklyn Chiropractic. Come to Brooklyn Chiropractic if you're having any back or neck pain. Especially, we specialize in treating people in auto and work-related injuries. So we've been established here in Brooklyn Center for the last 14 years. And one of the pleasures that I have is helping out in the community. We've sponsored a lot of events throughout the years in the community, and we really appreciate being a part of the community. So if you're experiencing any pain, give us a try. If you want a drug-free way to get better. Thank you.
And I tell you, Brooklyn Chiropractor there also on Brooklyn Boulevard in Brooklyn Center is somewhere you can ease your body pains away, whether you are in an accident or whatever. Dr. Ken is very great to help you. I was there. I'm a witness of his work, and they are also associated with Diaspora Talk here on KMTV, Liberia's premier online television. And we are coming to you remotely today from different locations. I'm here in somewhere in the Minneapolis and Nathan Charles. I don't know you want to say where you sitting from. It's a different space. And Jackson George
Bugao.
is also joining us from I believe the Broken Park area in Minnesota. And we all making sure we can bring you a bits and pieces of issues as they unfold in our country, Mama Liberia. And just before we left out, this release says the President-elect Ambassador Joseph Newman Barker has appointed Madam Miata Famule as chairperson of the 2024 inaugural committee. The President-elect also appointed Ambassador Sylvester Grisby as vice chair. Included on the committee are two former foreign ministers, Marjan Kamara and Olibangi King Akalira, as advisors. Unity Party National Chair is ex officio member to the committee. The committee has over 50 members who will be placed on various subcommittees. Wow, 50 members, Jackson. So what kind of inauguration will we expect to see? An elaborate one? uh, 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 what do we think? I mean, with Liberia right now, where Bwaka is taking off from, um, what do we foresee from this team?
Well, I think we need a inaugural program that is wealthy of an election, right?
Wealthy?
Very wealthy of an election.
Wealth, a lot of money.
Yeah, but it
Jackson.
was a hard for one fight. I think inauguration tell the direction where we're going. There will be presidents coming, other dignitaries coming from around the world. So I think it should not be something that is we got work to do. I understand where you're coming from, Cyrus. We got work to do. We got money to spend for the least amount us need to we need to lift our country up. But that's part of the ceremonial process. We need to get we need to understand that has to happen. I think this committee it's a lot of work that you have to put into that. I was at the inaugural program for the outgoing president. It was a lot of work put into that. It was at the SKD Sports Complex. You had to get a pass. You had to get an invite to go to the ball. So there was a lot of different activities taking place. A lot of deals makings are there because you got dignitary coming in, investors coming in, people coming in. So you got these balls and dinners and other stuff to make sure that you get some deals. So the government should be using this inaugural program to get major investors coming in and getting to know them so that they can start running with major investment.
Nathan, elaborate.
Indeed, indeed, it should not be an elaborate one because, hey, like you said, so you have to cut your code according to your measurement. My mom always told me that, and you got to know how to balance the situation. So you got to know how much can I pump in, like you said. If I'm pumping in this amount of money, what is the economic return? So election, like you said, it's just a ceremony. That party, it's just a ceremony, but the real work starts later. So indeed, we wish them well. We hope that the planner will well
But
execute
isn't that constitutional? I mean, there should be a budget for inaugural program. So it's
the
not
country. The
something that
country broke, man.
we need
The
to start
country,
thinking
the
where
country
the money is
broke.
coming from. The
JFK
country
need
is not
money.
broke. I don't want us to
JFK
keep
need
saying.
money.
I think when we keep saying the country is broke,
It
then
is because the
how can
people
the
are
country
telling
be
us that.
how can the country be broke? We're talking about people buying homes, other places, people doing stuff. The country is not broke. The country is
No,
not
no,
broke.
no. Knowing the kind of person Ambassador Boycott is, do you think he's gonna go for an elaborate celebration?
I don't want to think so.
You don't have a choice.
But again, if the Constitution provides for these provisions, then I don't think he has a choice. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm an institutionalist. So I believe in the institutions. If that's what is said, then it's said. And then we have to follow what it is. But if there's no money available for inaugural program through our constitution, through provision of our constitution, then he will have to determine how much he wants to spend, how much he can raise to spend that money. But if it is there, that doesn't mean he has to spend all of it. Some of that money could be moved somewhere else. But I don't think it will be like the ones that we had. I was only fortunate to have been to the last inaugural program, the CDC one, and I saw how it was. It was beautiful. It was colorful, and so
Some people felt that it was celebrated like the president is an icon. He at the time he's a war icon, so they had an iconic celebration. Do you think we're gonna see something like that from Joseph Newman Boyka, a very humble man who I mean, a lot of people
I
sit
mean,
on show
I
off a
mean
lot.
the papi in the US,
I think I
he'll go
think I
shopping,
think
Bonito,
I,
everything
I
around it.
think he will want to start working the next day. I think the celebration is not something that uh, from my own mind, I don't think the president elect is worried about the inaugural program or fascinated about the inaugural program. I think he's more worried about
He
getting
has
to
to
work,
be.
getting
He
work
has
to
to
work on the
be.
23rd, getting to work on the 23rd, and making sure that we have a healthcare system that is good, educational system. I think he has a lot of work to do just forming his own government alone. We talk about recycling people. Well, there's not many of us who are there. So I'm hoping that he will balance out the people who were in government before with people who are not in government to bring them on board. I'm hoping that we get a lot of young people from the University of Liberia who could be assistant ministers as well, so we can train the young people to take over this country in years to come. So, instead of bringing all the old people back, but we can bring the old folks who will train the young folks, and I'm okay with that. But I want to see a lot of young people getting into government so that we can start looking at the future of our country.
Yes, that's a huge one indeed. But coming up in a couple of weeks, there will be this huge process on Capitol Hill, the election of the speaker, the deputy speaker, the Senate pro tempore, and we need an elected, I mean, set of officials, leaders of the legislature before we can have that joint section that would then induct former Vice President and President-elect Joseph Boakai and his Vice President-elect Jeremiah Kwankunde. There's a huge power struggle on Capitol Hill. Um, Days ago, we saw this listing coming from the camera for Nati Kofa with claims and counterclaims, people making commitment and all of that. Jackson, at about this time, after the official certification of the 72 members of the lower house, there will be much more telephone calls. There are names that are coming up. There are three names out there already for the speaker position, and right now I know of one name for the deputy speaker in person of Moiman Briggs. From is he from Bon County, Nathan? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
from Bon
Bon
County.
Yeah,
County.
Palm.
Moiman Briggs Mensa from Bon County, and also the flank of the Senate. The only name I'm hearing so far, I don't know what there is another one out there that I've not heard, is Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence.
Yeah, I think Senator Lawrence will have a white ballot if you look at it from what is happening in Liberia right now. So she's clear. I haven't heard any other name popping out that want to run for Senate pro tem. So I think Yomli is sealing. In the House, we've had Musa Beledi, we've had how do you call him? Yeah, Musa Beledi. I know
Richard
of
Bankun
Richard Pankun, not Richard
and
Richard Henry Rick, Henry Kuhn. Is that
Richard Coon.
Richard Kuhn? Okay,
Yeah.
and then Senator um,
Not senator, but deputy speaker
Speaker. Sorry,
Jay Funati Kofa.
Jeff
So you
Fanati
see him
Kofa.
there in in the photograph after his certification today. As a matter of fact, he spoke on behalf of the lower house at that certification program, and Milton Besonga Finlay spoke on behalf of the Liberian Senate, the new Senate. India response on behalf of those bodies. But there is a tough fight now between Kun and
And
Kofa. A lot of people writing out Musa Belete. Do you think so?
well, I wouldn't write on Musa ability. Musa is a savvy uh, businessman. So most of the deals are done behind closed doors. So I wouldn't write out any businessman getting involved in the politics. Um, but I think Funadi Kofa has a tough road to climb. The argument that Ability was making is that the Liberian people voted for a balance. Uh, we need, but that argument does not work
So
because we
if the Liberian people voted for balance of power, then that argument goes the way of Funati Kofa because the
no, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. The Liberian people never voted for a balance of power. They did 2017,
mm,
and all of them sat down there and they had one the speaker and deputy speaker. They never share. They had it at the end of the term. So the Constitution provides that you can have a president, a speaker, and a president pro tem from the same political party. We have a constitution that lay out all the functions. So it doesn't. I don't buy that argument. And if that argument should have been bought, then the CDC should have worked hard to understand that they would not have been ruling the country for life in perpetual.
no, but someone would say that the Constitution does not talk about the speaker or the pro tem, but it speak about the president and the vice president not coming from the same county or region.
Correct. And
But
Polanyi Kofa stayed in our house for a while. He could have proposed a bill that would say the same thing. They did not. So there's a lot of work that need to be done to amend our constitution to get some of these things laid out. But you can move the post now in the middle of the game. You want to move the post. They can sit down in the 55th house and then try to amend the constitution to see if the speaker should not come from the same political party of the ruling party.
So you just want a rubber stamp
I don't think it's rubber stamp. Again, when you have men and women, Sarah, let me ask you a question. You think
The speaker is a powerful man in
yeah,
the
but you
house.
think I'll
He
be minister
controls
in
the
Liberia and
activity
somebody will just
and the
tell me to just
agenda.
move this way and that way? It doesn't work. When you have real people who's willing to stand for something and have real values, that rubber stamp thing is only when you
What breaks the value of our lawmakers in the house?
what break the value.
Yeah, what break the values? You
Well,
very
maybe they
positive.
came with broken values already.
no,
What broke the
but
value?
I'm looking at it might not make sense, but I'm looking at Musa ability, even though he's not one of the front runners, but I'm looking at Musa ability as the tiebreaker in this. What do you think?
I don't think so. And Musa should
You
not.
you clearly said that he's a businessman. He
Yeah,
will
but
he will
you
pull the
said
strings.
tiebreaker. I don't see it that way. I say you shouldn't play get rid of Musa in that sense because you see Musa and Fanati Kofa will be breaking the same kind of uh, they will be looking at this almost the same kind of a people voting for them. And if all three of them were to run, Kun will win easily. So one of them will have to drop off for it to be very competitive. So that's why I'm saying. But if you were to put Fonati Kofa and Kun, remember the incoming president has a lot of weight as well to be able to negotiate. We still got up to January something for people to make up their minds. Uh, Most of these things are done behind the scenes, one on one. I would tell you, legislative politics is very deceptive. Uh, is very it's terrible to say. It's about bad politics. So you think you got the number until the vote is counted,
That's
and
why they want
so
open
you
votes.
never have enough in your bag until the actual votes are counted. So
Yeah, I think I can pull out the 2017, 2018, the issue of buffer chambers, and then Deputy Speaker Tokwa Moba. Was it Tokwa Moba? No, the guy from Bond County who's not a senator,
yeah,
went to the Senate. He was
the
the one.
president,
He was the one
let's say
threatening his
you
chambers.
ran on a campaign to say when I become a representative, I'll work hard to ensure that we uplift the clinic in our district. You know, if Onadiko came and say, look, I will make you chairman of this committee, and Coons come and say, I will make you chairman of the committee, who you think you will believe? What side you will go on? The president, the executive is run by by Coons man, and Coons is giving you more. So it's about interest.
So
It's,
it
it's
depends. It depends
it's
what
not
your
about
party.
loyalty
It depends. I think
it's not
in
about
this it somehow depends on what the Unity Party, the number the Unity Party already got in the House. I think they got just about 11 persons,
loyalty.
11 lawmakers. So it's
Yeah,
like, if you can pump yourself up, then you can have that scratching back. But
I
you can
think
have
the independent,
11,
yeah,
11.
independence 11, independent 11 apart from other parties. So CDC has 25, and I can guarantee you all those 25 will not even vote for Fernando Kofa. So again, that's how it worked. You saw Unity Party people who were switching and voting for everything in the CDC government. So legislative politics is a little different, depending who's sitting in the higher chair and who can manipulate and get things done. Having said that, people should still have their values. People should still believe in the best person with values and character and integrity should be the one to be our third person in line to the presidency.
And now the women are not sitting quietly. They are taking the bull by the horn. Nathan, are you with us?
Yes, yes. I'm reading
You-
the training
Did I
issues.
put a screen shooter and say, "Oh, they don't
Yeah, they
sleep
don't
on the
sleep.
live show"?
Oh, as
So,
Fabian said, I'm reading the training issues.
so the women, like I said, is we almost time to wrap it up. We maybe in 10 minutes. The women are not sitting supinely. They are taking the bull by the horn. Look at this photograph from the Elections Commission today. They are pushing for their first. I mean, I don't know. Is she going to be the first female pro tem? I don't know. I have to count the
I
check.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then on the other flank, Briggs Menza, Mema Briggs Menza, the women are carrying these two people on the banner, calling on those members of the legislature that were certificated today as they walk out of that hall. This is what they were seeing in their faces as senators and representatives. As you go over there, make sure you put the women on the agenda and on the front burner. What do you make of this banner, Jackson, before we wrap it up?
Well, I think it's premature, but again, it's politics. In politics, you have to be defined sometimes, and I think these people are defining their path. Senator Lawrence and Representative Briggs, I think they are defining the path. That's what they want. They are seeking it, and so sometimes what you want, you go for it. We want to see equal gender equality at some point in our country. I think when more women get involved into politics, our country will be much more better as compared to all men. And so we need gender equality in leadership, and hopefully this will help our country move forward.
Nathan,
I mean, with the
I saw you laugh as I put that picture up.
the thing is, the election in the House for this pro tem and for the speaker, it is going to be decided by those in position. So, like Jackson said, there are a lot of negotiation behind the scene, So that's just one of the pressure from the group. But hey, what are you coming in my face? And I see 50 500,000 in my face. I see I see 15,000 women in my face physically. Which one do I go for?
That's where
So
integrity says in.
that's what integrity
But
says.
again, again, it's integrity is about interest. I
Do
think
they have it? No.
if you
Do
are
they
a
have it?
representative or
No.
senator, your first obligation is to the people of your district or your county. Now, if you were to negotiate with me, then you must be negotiating with me for what is best for my county. Don't come and say, I'll give you 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 for your pocket. That doesn't cut it. You should be negotiating. You will build a bridge in the county that, you will support me to build out, to pump money into the budget to build that bridge, to make sure our hospitals let's take, for instance, like Buchanan. The hospital in Buchanan will have better medication and better equipment. I want to hear those kind of arguments. I don't bring an envelope with 20,000 in it, and that's not gonna that where integrity comes in. And so it's about interest. The more you can convince me that you will do for my county or my people, the more I will listen to you
So
as compared to,
convince you by word of mouth.
well,
It's
your word should be
politics.
your bond. And again, in Liberia, we have less of words being born, and so that's why we need people of integrity. That if I give you my word, it should be my bond, and
Not
you
not
should
in
do it.
politics,
And
Jackson.
if you don't,
You
again,
gotta get something up front.
If not, wait for the
well,
next 6 years.
no, it's not 6 years. I mean, if you came to me and you promise me something, you become speaker and you don't, then I'll fight all my days in there to make sure that we get rid of you as
You will
speaker.
you're not
It's
being
not
heard.
So
easy,
so so
you
You're
so
know.
not being
so
heard.
and one thing that will be it is like you see for Nati, people feel that he cuts across, but he's from the opposition, Liberty Party, and I think he ran on the CDC ticket. He's personal lawyer to the president, the outgoing president. He represented several ministries and agencies as their lawyers, and coming on to become a speaker. This will be the first time since Edwin Snow to have an opposition speaker, if I'm
Well,
correct.
is it that you're talking about double dipping? Is he the speaker and he has influence using his office to
Whether
to
he's
get?
going to recuse himself as speaker from
Yeah,
those
I
different
mean,
portfolios that he holds. But apart
he's
from
too
that,
deep.
what
I think he's too deep into all of these things, and it would just stall any developmental program that this new administration wants to have. Let's take, for instance, if you were to do auditing, and you're auditing all of these autonomous agencies, government agencies that he is. Uh, um, he
Represent.
has, yeah, he is the
his law
legal.
firm
The
represent.
law firm has legal representation. One, he could stall the process. He could recuse himself and still stall the process. I mean, there's a lot of things Liberians need to look forward to. If we want a country that is just desperate, where we just slow and don't do anything, fine. There are 72 lawmakers. You want to tell me among 72 lawmakers and nobody in there outside of Fanatical Fa who, and I'm
He's
just
the
hearing
most.
all
He's
of
the
this.
most. He's the most senior right now.
Yeah, but senior doesn't mean, it depends. If he got all of these contracts with all of these autonomous agency and other stuff, I think he should recuse himself from that just because of some of those things. But if he were to go forward, he could stall a lot of the developmental agenda of this new government. Especially, we're talking about auditing, we're talking about prosecution and other stuff. How is that going to happen? He can
on
stall for
on the
six
on the
years.
on the on the flip side, like I said, this will be the first speaker that will be from the opposition since Edwin Snow. And Edwin Snow was the last speaker who stood up to a president, as it relates to then President Johnson Sirleaf's agenda, and that caused him to be speaker for 9 months. He was the shortest serving speaker of the House of Representatives. So, for that to
And money
coming
boots
back,
him up.
uh, 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 we know that every government or every executive will want a speaker that they can channel and have their legislative agenda, fostered
Nathan,
through. Uh,
Cyrus, one of the things that I always say, the opportunity has come, is for that to be prepared. it's always good to prepare yourself. Sometimes you're doing some deals, you're doing some things. You are not looking at the future. Maybe Fonati never thought one day I'll be speaker, or even ability or Kun. Today that has come. So now we are looking at integrity. We are looking at business dealings. We are looking at all these things, and I'm hoping that young Liberians will be watching, who's watching these things, looking at the politics of our time, will be able to learn from it and carve their own path in ways that when the opportunity comes, they don't have the baggage behind them to go. I don't think Liberia will be the same. Whether you put fanatical fire, cone, or ability, there will be check and balances. I don't think speakers will just ride like how we call the last person, just roll on and had nothing happening. I think the people are getting tired with nothing happening. And
But on the
so
flip side, Jackson, somebody will ask you, should we always have, a speaker that is yes sir to the president or yes ma'am to the president,
no,
and not looking at what will come from the executive. Everything is shoving down the legislature, and the people are not benefiting. That's
but
another argument.
no, we shouldn't.
But
But
that's why you push him,
who
Jackson.
says if you put
That's why you
Fonadi
push
Kofa,
him.
hold on, who said if you put Fonadi Kofa there, he will not do the same? Who says so?
No, from your argument, he could
No,
stand
no.
up to
But
the
the
agenda of
argument
of,
is
of,
if you
of
put a
incoming
United Party
President Barker.
speaker, he will be a rubber stamp speaker. It depends on the integrity of that person and who that person is. But who says if you put an opposition there, he wouldn't flip later? People switch parties, people switch allegiance. He could be a rubber stamp speaker as well. What matters is who has the integrity and the bandwidth to withstand the pressure from the executive branch of government to do the right thing for the Liberian people. That's what matters. So if you look at all of them in the race, we need to start checking and find out who has the what it takes to look into the president eye and say, I'm with you, I'm with your party, but this is not good for the Liberian people. I mean, that's some of the integrity we're talking about. We need men and women with high standard to be able to look into leaders, into the president and vice president eyes and say, I like this, I like your idea, but I have a different path and I want you to listen to my path. Why don't we sit on the table and bring my ideas in and your ideas in and that of my colleagues so that we make it work? That's most of the negotiations that are going to be happening. But I don't like the idea of rubber stamp. And the rubber stamp just tell me that that person has no integrity.
All right, we have to go. We have to go, guys. The time is out. We have to go. And I'd like to say thanks to Emmanuel, bro. Ebro, he's always following us. His comments are all under here.
We
Ebro, we
need to
hope we
bring
can have the
Hebrew
time
sometimes too.
one of these days to join us. Let me know. The number you see there strolling, call any of those numbers. You can get Nathan or myself. Emmanuel, bro, formerly of Star Radio, a seasoned journalist. And he said, why I'm in favor. Let me read this. His comment. Why I'm in favor of female leadership in the Liberian legislature, I'm not convinced or confident that those ladies on the banner can win their respective hopeful positions in the two houses. That's a very great argument indeed. But Imana, bro, we hope we can have you here someday. Just let us know. We'll send you the link to join us. We can all chip in and talk about Liberia. Jackson, let's get the passing comments.
Well, I'm hopeful that this country will move forward. I know every time I say I'm hopeful, Nathan will say we've been hoping for so many years.
I know,
Uh,
I know, yellow, yellow. I hope war.
yeah, but I'm hopeful.
You don't want to change for
Cyrus,
hope, eh? Or
Cyrus
hope
and
for
Nathan,
peace.
if you look at our country, I always say when you have kids sitting on the blocks in the classroom, it's all of our problems. When you have people going to the hospital and there's no medication, it's all of our problems. When farmers cannot grow enough food because there's no farm to market road, it is not a one person problem. It's all of our problems. When little girls are raped and people who perpetrate those dangers are walking free and not persecuted, it is all of our problem. It takes a village to help a child or to grow a child. We must be our brother's keeper. And I think we need men and women of character to understand that because my child is in a good school doesn't mean that the least among us kids cannot go to good school. And that is why we don't need senators to be building schools and representatives to be building hospitals or clinics. We need them to appropriate funding to put into the existing structures that we have so that the least among us can have the opportunity to have better life, better outcomes in our country.
That's Jackson Jones there for you. Nathan, it's the
Indeed,
weekend, my man.
yes, indeed. Just to reflect, United States government, Treasury Department sanction Jefferson Kochi for abuse of human rights. And as you know, lawmakers today were certificated, those who won in Liberia by the National Elections Commission. And this other big story here, the National Elections Commission's year in office grant Nathaniel Williams from Maryland County.
Anthony Williams, you mean?
Yeah. The National Elections Commission hearing officer dismissed the case against Buffer Chambers. That is, now we hope Buffer Chambers, we're hearing that he took an appeal to the Supreme Court, but Anthony Williams,
that ain't gonna work, man.
Anthony Williams, that's he there with his supporter, and Buffer Chambers, we see that they will go to the Supreme Court. They will file an appeal from Maryland County. But what we see so far, indeed,
and it will not be Chimo's first time going to the Supreme Court.
I hope Baba Chima have the time now to pick up his phone and talk to regular people.
Yes. And indeed, some of the lawmakers who were certificated today, I would just like to call a few names to see here, because there were 73 persons already.
72.
Yeah, by the National Elections Commission. So Johnny Way, Amara Conan, Thomas Yaya Nimlen, you see Ira Chie, Momo Cyrus, Sir Joseph, Prince.
So that's a total of
Francis.
87, 72 from the lower house, 15 from the upper house. So that's like 87.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, new faces. I'm hoping that there's new faces. There will be new.
Yeah, a lot of new faces,
energy.
especially from the lower house.
One thing I like about the Liberian people now, if you don't perform, they'll remove you. I mean,
yeah, 6 year contract. If your contract is not,
some of them might not even stay 6 years. But man, we got to find a way to boot some of these people out through petition.
That's another argument, because even when your petition comes from your district, it's keeping it upon their colleagues to vote upon it. So whether their colleagues will man up to that and say we will keep you out.
If they don't, they all got 6 years, brother.
Let's have ourselves a wonderful weekend. Maybe we can visit Jackson at the Park Liquor Store today and see what's going on down there.
That would be great. I mean, you'll bring your cameras and.
Are you not going to the Unity Party dinner tonight?
I was invited.
The Unity Party people are out there, and they asked. We got a couple of Unity Party celebration stuff that are out on sales: t-shirts, caps, coffee mugs, and all of that. So if you want to, just get our numbers on the screen and hit us up, and we will be able to get them over to you. If you are on the Unity Party celebration, you want any of these things, hit us up, and we will get them over to you. Nathan, I don't know whether you have that coffee mug. I saw it somewhere.
Yeah,
the one that Jackson was. I don't know what Jackson drank in there. Jackson, did he drink in there?
Really, Cyrus? That where you going?
I'm not calling you. I'm just.
You know.
Okay,
we were to discuss the budget. I went through the budget, the national budget. I think we need time. We need a month to discuss this budget, and so that our people can start learning. I was on another show today, and I told them we business people got to really start understanding. Liberian business owners got to really start understanding.
782.94 million budget.
Yeah, and almost 263 or 280 million, or just go on government salaries and other stuff. So we really got to understand the budget to understand what our
doing this weekend. We can look at it.
We can throw it out there. Get one or two other financial experts to join us.
Yeah, we need to look at our budget. But I think most importantly, Liberian businesses need to look at the budget, see where the money is, and we go after the money.
That's it.
Foreigners understand our budget more than we do, and that's something that we need to understand our budget.
All right, folks, we catch you here on Monday, but anything, we probably come on a crash show on the weekend. Whatever happens, we just wake up and come off here. You anything break, we'll come up here and talk about it. Nathan Charles there from an unknown location. I'm here in somewhere in Minneapolis. Jackson Joe in Brooklyn.
You don't look like you're in Minneapolis. You're in Monrovia. Behind you.
I'm sitting in the city of Monrovia. The mayor is not central, so I'm in control. But guys, we will see you here on Monday for a brand new edition of Diaspora Talk. Have yourself a blessed rest of the weekend and help somebody if you can. Trust me, if you do that, the Almighty God is going to multiply your blessings. Bye-bye. We'll get you on.
When the issues of Liberia hit the news,
what is it that we, the Liberian people, want?
The Liberian communities in the diasporas are not left out. That's why Diaspora Talk is back on your screens on GMTV.
In fact, the Unity Party is not cohesive.
Be it social, political, economic, and other issues affecting Liberia in the Diaspora Liberian communities.
I did not expect to even make it to Hollywood.
Join Cyrus McGee and Nathan Charles every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, live on KMTV, Facebook, and YouTube.
I want to be arrested in the midst of my people.
As they discuss the issues, blending the voices from Liberia and the Diaspora Liberian communities.
The Liberian Business Association in the Diaspora should be used as a vehicle for economic development in Liberia because no country can develop without a diaspora impact.
For sponsorship, call some numbers 612-806-5896, 816-433-3979, or better still, email us at usakmtv@gmail.com. Diaspora Talk, from this house.